Hi, I'm Sam, your resident fantasy reader.
And I'm Morgan, your romance reader, and we welcome you to Just One More Page,
where it's never just one more page.
So, Sam, I have something I need to tell you.
Okay.
I've been wanting to tell you this all day, but I didn't because I was like, I'm going to save this for the podcast. I grew up with Harry Potter. I've always wanted, my nieces to like Harry Potter. My first niece, she likes the movies. She doesn't like the books.
Yeah.
But last night, I think it's called Manolin, or whatever it's called. It's like the people who did all the artwork for the Harry Potter books. I think they have their own illustrated book. I don't have that first for some reason, but I only have the second and third. So I looked at my niece and was like, hey, would you like me to read you a story before you go to bed? And my niece is like, I'm like, come on, let me just read it to you. So my niece was like, okay. I read the first chapter to her. I made up the voices. We're having fun. She was laughing because she was like, she thought it was so funny that Dudley was really, because I kept calling Dudley large. And there was like one part where like, Dudley waddled away. And I was like, how does he waddle? And she was like waddling like a penguin. We got to the end of the chapter and she's like, can we read the next chapter? And I was like, what?
Aww.
Sam, I almost cried. I was like, oh my God, are you liking my books? Like, yes. I was like, yes, totally. It's also 11:30 at night, so probably not read another chapter. But if you don't tell your mom, I'm not going to tell your mom. So we read another chapter. She really likes the books and she likes the like illustrations. I'm making another Harry Potter fan. I'm so happy. Someone else in this family has to be obsessed with Harry Potter besides me. That was my highlight of the week, besides going to just now go to Costco and get books. It was so chaotic. Don't ever go to Costco around the 4th of July because that is just asking for trouble. And I literally just went there for the books because I heard that, like, didn't you say it was January 1st? Sam?
Well, someone else said January 1st on the TikTok I posted about Walmart, that they said January 1st the books were going to go away, but we're going to only be there for like Christmas time or something. Yeah, they're going to be going away here soon. Well, not soon. It's barely July, but soon.
Yeah, I went and I looked and there wasn't really anything, I don't think really that great. I'm going to make a TikTok with all the books I saw. The thing is, like, I've seen other people's Costco's and their Costco's are popping off. Mine is just like, no, it's okay. I feel like there's a lot of fancy books. There was this one beautiful book though. I almost sent you a picture of it and was like, Sam, do you want me to get it for you? Because not only did it have a sprayed edge.
Was it Ren in the Holly Library?
Yes!
That book is gorgeous. That book is absolutely gorgeous.
Listen, girl, if next time I go to Costco, if you want me to get it for you, let me know because I think it was obviously a good price because it's Costco, but it's gorgeous. I don't know what's it about, but it's gorgeous.
I think vaguely it's like about this library that has this. My child is sticking his hand in my mouth. About this library that has this like monster in it or something. It's the Wren is the monster, the Wren in the Holly Library.
Well, it actually sounds kind of interesting.
That's the vague description I have because I really haven't looked into it, but I have seen it at Walmart and it's beautiful.
I think it was that book. I took a.
Is it like blue with like gold details and stuff?
Yes, it was. So yeah. So if you want me picking one up, girl, let me know because I live at Costco and I say this as I'm drinking my mocha cold brew right now, but don't go to Costco now. It's too crazy. I almost got hit. It's too crazy.
Yeah, I was at Walmart yesterday, mind you, at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, and it was just chaos.
Yeah, no thank you.
Well, not only is it a holiday, but the first was also yesterday too.
Oh yeah, it was.
Horror story for all the hospitals too, because that's when all the residents start the brand new doctors out of the hospitals. So,
oh really?
Let's be ever in your favorite. Yep, residency started yesterday for all the hospitals.
Oh, I never knew that. So if I need to get anything, I should not go on July.
I would wait till like September when they've at least had a couple months of experience and aren't putting weird ass orders in.
Good to know. Good to know. But so let's talk about this week's episode. So this week we thought we would do something kind of different. We're going to be talking about reading slumps because, we all have them as much as we rather not have them. Sometimes you get them after reading a really good book or sometimes a really bad book. Sometimes it can just come out of nowhere and it's like, bang, you can't read anything for months. And it especially sucks when you are far behind on your reading goals or you need to read a book for, dare I say, a podcast and it's not going well. So on this episode, we do something different and we would talk about our own struggles with reading slumps and how, if you are in a reading slump, to get out of it. So Sam, have you ever been in a reading slump and how did you get out of it?
Oh yeah. I know like some of the tips and tricks are like read your favorite book that you've read before. A lot of times mine just kind of like goes away. it's like I can't read, can't read, can't read, can't read. And then all of a sudden it's just like I pick up a book and I fly through it and I'm like, oh, it's finally broken. Thank God. The relief. Like when you're in a reading slump, it's not that you don't want to read. Like you do. You want to read so bad, but it's like you can't. And I can't even explain the feeling of like wanting to read and not being able to. Because it's like you start like reading 2 or 3 pages and the next thing you know, you're like, I can't do it. And then you put it down and go scroll on TikTok or something.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of times I find though, like if I pick a shorter book, like something that's less than like 250 pages or something, just to get me reading, sometimes helps a lot. Like it's less of a commitment. And for whatever reason, like books that are 250 pages, really that isn't, it sounds like a lot of pages. It really isn't in the long run. I find that that tends to help me dramatically get out of my reading slumps.
Yeah, I like to look at, like, not cringy, that's not the word I'm looking, not cringy. It's like
Yeah, cheesy and simple.
cheesy, yes, yes, cheesy, that's what I'm looking for. It's so cheesy and it's just fun. That's the type of book I kinda look into getting when I get it into a reading slump, which obviously sucks really bad. But while I was, like, looking up some research, I did find a post on the Washington Post in which they list 14 ways where you can get out of a reading slump, and I thought I would, like, read them off and let's see if we agree or
Okay.
disagree, because as two people who have expertise in the matter, we would talk about each one. So, number 1 is reread a old favorite. Do you do this? You reread a book over again? Because I usually try to reread Harry Potter over every year. I also tend to reread series again just so I don't forget anything, but, like, I don't know if I reread books very often.
I'm not much of a rereader, honestly. I kind of already know the story. And I get that that's kind of the point of getting you out of the reading slump is like your brain is already trained to know what is coming next. And so it's kind of like you don't have to think about it. I prefer a new story over an old one that I've read. Like when you were saying like the cheesy book, like The Kissing Booth or whatever, like I'm reading this book called The Last of the Dragon King, and it's like a Kindle Unlimited 260 page book. And I know all the plot lines already. I already know how this book is going to end, but it's still like new ish. And I'm freaking eating it up. Like this thing is pulling me out of my reading slump and it's fabulous. But I probably wouldn't go and reread an old favorite. I probably just pick something new that I find will probably be an easy read for me.
I'll reread books I haven't read in like years and years, but sometimes like I just can't, like I can't do it because you know what's going to happen. So the next one is switch like the like if you're reading romance, switch to like fantasy or whatnot. But like me as a mood reader, I don't agree with this because I'm a mood reader and I'm all over the place as it is. Like the one day I read romance, one day I read fantasy, one day I read thriller. I don't have a set, type. I mean, I guess I mostly read romance, but sometimes I read like YA romance to adult romance.
Yeah, I feel like if that was the way to get out of a reading slump, we would never be in one because of this podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Truly, we read so diversely and all over the place that, like, if either one of us was in a reading slump at the point of us reading a different genre for the podcast, should just pull us out of the reading slump. And it just doesn't. I feel like for the podcast, it feels more like not really a job, but like you have a deadline and a goal. So it makes you do it more and faster to like get through the book and everything versus just like your fun read. I'm just doing this for my own entertainment. Those tend to be the harder ones to get into.
Yes, I agree. Next one is change the format, which is like you can go from ebooks to audiobooks to physical copies, which honestly, Sam, I'm all over the place as it is. And I will be, don't judge me, Sam. I do it sometimes where I'll get the audiobook, the ebook, and the physical copy of the book of the same book. Don't judge me.
It's not a judgment, man.
I understand switching different ways of reading it, but for me personally, if I'm stuck, I'm stuck,
Yeah, I kind of get that, like the train of thought of switch the medium because I don't know why, but and I know it's true for you too, but I read ebooks faster than I read physical books.
Yes.
And so if you're like in a super reading slump and you just pick a book, like I'll throw a book on my phone or whatever, it's like sometimes when I'm sitting there bored, I'll be like, well, I guess I'll read this. And then next thing I know, I'm like 50 pages in. That sometimes does tend to help me.
I definitely think that if you need to read a book fast, definitely do ebooks because you can fly through them really fast. So the next thing is set goals, which honestly, I feel like this could be worse if you are in a reading slump because if I'm forced to sit down and read for like 10 minutes a day, then it's going to become a chore and reading isn't supposed to be a chore. It's supposed to be fun, So I disagree with that one.
My anxiety couldn't handle setting a goal because then I would feel like obsessed about making sure I hit that goal and then it would just bring me more anxiety. I couldn't do it.
Number 5 is start small. I think this is actually really smart. Read some novellas, read some graphic novels, 3 books that don't really take that long, because I think that would really kind of help.
Like I was saying earlier, like pick like a 250-page book. Again, sounds like a long book, really tends to not be. Pick a 250-page book with large text, and you'll feel like you're like the fastest reader in the entire world, and you'll probably fly through it. And generally, if it's a short book, it's an easy story, and so that can sometimes help you like, hey, I got the accomplishment of finally finishing a book, and you feel better about yourself.
Number 6 is browse the children's bookshelf. Tell Clayton I'm about to come over and he's going to share his books with his Aunt Momo.
Whatever ones he hasn't ripped the covers off of
Oh
yet.
gosh, it's a book abuse.
It literally is. Listen, Brown Bear is missing its front cover, and it's missing the teachers and the children. I was like, what is wrong with this book? And then I just saw that it was missing like half the teacher's face, and all the children were gone.
Your child is crazy.
He is.
Can you imagine as he gets older, he rips up your books?
I would lose my mind.
I don't think I would have words. I would just sit down like silent to just stare at a wall and be like, I can't react to this.
My mom would say it's just desserts because I tore up her wedding album when I was a baby.
Yeah, I still can't get over that. You ripped up her whole wedding album.
But I was 1. I didn't know what I was doing. My mom's like waiting for revenge or something. She's like, when he tears up one of your books, I was like, stop.
She's like, I still remember this.
Like, she is still salty about that to this day. And that was 32 years ago.
Listen, she's petty and I love that. So the next one is Let Luck Guide You. I guess it's all about finding a book that hooks you in, which is low-key just saying that I need to go to the bookstore, right? I just need to go back to the bookstore. I gotta go Barnes & Noble. Oh my God, talking about Barnes & Noble, Sam, I told you, but I did not tell our listeners. I went to Barnes & Noble with my niece, right? And we went to the bookstore and we looked at her books. And she picked out a book. Then we went to the toy section. It took her like an hour. I'm not kidding you, an hour to choose out a slime and also a kinetic sand. An hour, which is like, okay, I'm letting you take your time. I'm a cool aunt. You can look around. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to my section. I'm going to go to my book section. I touch one book. I put my hand on one book and the worker comes over and it's like, hey, we're closing. Can you go up front to check out?
Jesus.
I'm telling you, part of my soul died. Can you imagine going to the bookstore and be like, I'm going to buy some books. And you get in there and you're like, what? No books?
No books?
I was traumatized.
That's when you go to Target because they're open till 10 and go buy a book.
I should have done that. But I don't like Target stickers because Target stickers don't ever come off and they're so annoying.
Yeah, I know.
So number 7, sorry for the little side rant, was Let Luck Guide You, which is just saying to go to the bookstore. And then number 8 is seek professional help, which is check out our podcast or I guess you could talk to like a bookstore employee or like a librarian.
I thought it was like go find a therapist. I was like, why would you go to a therapist because you're in a reading slump? But no, just listen to us. Just listen. We'll tell you what's good and what's not good, you know?
I mean, you could go to a therapist and then also check out our podcast.
Do it at the same time. We all need therapy. It's okay.
Exactly. Mental health matters. Number 9 is join a book club or check out our podcast, which is basically a book club.
Listen, the moral of the story is this podcast gets you out of reading slumps.
Exactly. We will get you out of that reading slump. Just listen to all our episodes and rate us on Spotify.
There you go.
That is definitely how you get out of reading slump. Number 10 is abandon books that don't spark joy. So I guess what it's saying is that it's not normal for people to hoard books that they know they won't like or read. I guess that's just not a thing that people do.
I mean, they're also probably talking about too is like, it's okay to DNF a book. I had this mentality for years that once I started a book, the book had to be completed, whether I liked it or not. And for the podcast, that's true, but that's a different reason. But if it's like an everyday, just a book I want to read and I do not like it, it will get put to the side. I will put it in the donation pile and we will move on because there is no reason and not enough time in the world for me to continue reading a book that I cannot stand.
Yeah, I kind of have that mindset now because I used to do it where I would want to read every book before I donate it. Like you said, there's not enough time in your lifetime to read all the books you have. So, I mean, all the books I have, I'll be honest, I have an issue. But I've been doing it where if I can't get through half the book, then I'm donating it. I'm just going to donate it. So, which I got to do that. I'm doing that next week where I'm taking a bunch of books to get donated. And the next one is do something completely different, which means like go try a new hobby, take a break from reading, which basically means go outside. Okay, just go outside, you book nerd. Okay, get some sunlight. I know we all are all pale. I mean, I guess that's smart to take. Sometimes, like, you need to take a break from reading, just even if it's a day or even if it's 2 days. Unfortunately, with this podcast, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do that. Sometimes we do because we get like weeks where we have episodes where we don't necessarily have to read, which is sometimes really nice because sometimes we get in this groove where we just can't stop reading.
I feel like episodes like this where we get to just talk is like really good for our mental health when it comes to the podcast too, because we are less like, oh my God, I have this deadline I need to hit, and more like, hey, I'm just going to talk to my best friend. And sometimes we just need a venting session, whether even if it's a constructive venting session. Sometimes we just need that, and I feel like these episodes really help reset me as a podcast host because I feel like I'm ready for the next book.
Yeah.
I had that little bit of a mental break where I could focus on something else or just read a book that I wanted to read.
That's your spiel. I love it.
That's my thing. That's my
So the
spiel.
next one is think about what you want from a novel, which is true. I get it. I know what I want from a novel. Do I ever read the back of a novel? No. I always just look at the cover and say, you're pretty, you're coming home with me. I mean, I guess that works. You just have to know what you like, kind of thing. And number 13 is force it. Just grab that book by its edges and force yourself to read it. And even though you keep zoning out or keep checking your phone or keep watching TikToks, just force yourself to read that book, okay? Which I don't know if that necessarily would work for me because I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna read a chapter, and then I'll look at my phone and be like, what's on TikTok right now? And I'll look on TikTok, and then it'd be 2 hours later, I'm like, oops, where did the time go? I'm not gonna go to bed.
I'm back and forth on the whole force it thing. It kind of depends. Like, don't force it too hard. If it's just not gonna be a thing, just let it go. But at the same time, like if you are like adamant you want to read a book and you're in a reading slump, then forcing it might be just the way to do it. Like sometimes you just need to get in a groove. And so you just got to do the thing you don't like, you're not prepared to do, not necessarily you don't want to do, but do the thing that you want to do, but you're having a hard time doing anyway. And sometimes you'll just like find that momentum and then you'll just end up going. And then next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later and you're halfway through the book.
I don't know. I want to read a book that flows. Sometimes it's hard to just read a book. You have to force to read because it feels more like a chore. The next thing on this list is have faith. Have faith that you will get over this slum. Having a reading slum isn't the worst thing in the world. I think that, yeah, we all get into them and eventually we'll get out. It's not like it's going to last years and years. If it does last years and years, like you've been in a reading slum for like over 10 years, girl, I'm sorry.
Then go buy yourself a Kindle and then you'll get back into reading. Because I've heard a lot of people being like, I got a Kindle and all of a sudden like I've now read like 6 books in a week. So maybe
Okay, so can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
No, I have an iPad.
Yeah.
Okay, I use it for reading. My situation, I kind of want to get a Kindle. Okay, because the thing with my iPad is like I really like it, but a lot of times I get distracted because I'll be like, oh, let me see TikTok or whatever, blah blah. And also, my iPad was like $600, and a Kindle is like what, over under 200?
It's $150 for the Kindle Paperwhite and it's $100 for the normal Kindle. I'm getting the Kindle Paperwhite because it's waterproof, so that way like I can read in the bath or read in the pool or whatever. Low key, I want it for like the same reason you're saying. Like I can read on my tablet and I can read on my phone, but I can also go on Facebook and TikTok and everything. And it's like my ADD cannot handle when I see a notification. And it's like, oh, what does that person want to say to me? And then I say, no, it's 3 hours later. And I've not read my book that I've been wanting to read. And then I feel bad because like I was determined. And also low-key, I kind of want it for the aesthetic too, like with all the stickers and the pop socket and the cases and stuff. And and the agave green is so pretty. Anyway.
Yes. Well, I might copy you and get that because green's my favorite color.
I don't care. Well, it's like black denim or that agave green, and of the three, that green one is so pretty.
I wish they had a purple one for you because you like purple.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I can get a purple case if I really wanted to, or like people have these like inserts they put on the back of them, but I just like the green. It's just pretty.
Just don't do what I did because with my iPad, I also have a clear case with stickers. Listen, maybe I just didn't get the memo, but I didn't realize these book girlies don't stick the stickers on the thing. They keep the stickers like covered with the like obviously paper, and they just lay them down and they put their iPad or their Kindle in the case so that way you can change out the stickers. I didn't realize this. I stuck the stickers on the case.
Well, then that's half the reason why you have to get a Kindle, because now you got to swap out your stickers, man.
Exactly. I gotta swap out my stickers.
Yeah.
So I just gotta add that to the list. Okay. So final thoughts on reading slumps. So I think that the most important thing is that it's not a bad thing to have a reading slump. Sometimes there are other things in life that are more of a priority, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes there are new jobs or babies. Hi, Clayton. Or, you're more social. Reading isn't a race, which is something I think that most people forget about. It's not about how many books you read or how many pages. It's the stories you read and the enjoyment you get from it. If you're stuck, it's okay because you'll eventually get unstuck, hopefully, eventually. So, my thing about reading slumps, we all have them, but we will get out of them. Right, Clayton?
He says yes. He says yes. And I get out of reading slumps every day when I read small children's books to him over and over and over and over and over again, to the point that I now have like at least 3 different books memorized. So I could say I've read at least 100 books this year, because technically I have.
You definitely have done that.
To get out of a reading slump, just read children's books,
There you go.
Just read children's books.
People may look at you a little bit odd, but listen, you do you, girly.
You still completed a book. It still counts on Goodreads.
Next week is a special week because it's my birthday.
Yeah.
It's my birthday. So I picked a novel that I've been wanting to read for a while now, which is called Belladonna by Adalyn Grace. This is a really popular book that I feel like many people have read, but we obviously have not. This novel follows Signa, an orphan 19-year-old who has been raised by guardians, each one more interested in her wealth than her well-beings, and each meeting their own demise. Her only other relatives are the Hawthorns, a eccentric family living at the Thorn Grove, an estate both glittery and gloomy at the same time. A husband mourns for his late wife by throwing wild parties. His son is trying to control his family's dying reputation, and the daughter is suffering from a mysterious illness. But when the mother's restless spirit appears claiming that she was poisoned, Signa realizes that the family she depends on could be in grave danger and enlists the help of a stable boy to hunt down the killer. However, Signa's best chance of uncovering the murder is in alliance with Death himself. So that's going to be the book we read next week for my birthday. Anyways, if you guys like this episode and would love to support us, please remember to rate us on Spotify, as it does help push our podcast out there. Also, remember to check us out anywhere else you can find a podcast. And also, we do have a YouTube channel that one day we'll post on. I mean, we post episodes on them, but like one day. Maybe this week when I have a week off my birthday. And Sam will tell you about the rest of our socials.
So if you think we are absolutely hilarious, which fun fact, my friends, we are. We do have a TikTok. It is Just One More Page Podcast. And for all the pictures and whatever else we decide to post, we do have an Instagram. It is Just One More Page Official. So go ahead and check us out on there. Come slide into our DMs. We love talking to you all. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you all next Sunday.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye. Oh wait, happy 4th. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
If you're American, happy 4th.
Bye.
Bye.